My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Ballerina. And no, I'm not going to call this movie From the World of John Wick Ballerina. No, it's just Ballerina. But it is the newest movie within the John Wick universe, and I like these movies, but they're definitely flawed. So keep that in mind when I say that Ballerina might just be my favorite movie of this franchise. Like, I have to sit on it for a little bit longer before I say definitively, but I'm definitely leaning that way. So let's begin by talking about the cast, and I love Ana de Armas. I thought she was really terrific in Blade Runner 2049 and Knives Out, and she does a really good job here. She carries the movie incredibly well, she brings the proper physicality, and she definitely elevated her character in every sense. Then we've got Angelica Houston, who does a perfectly fine job. We've got Ian McShane, who does a perfectly fine job. We've got Lance Reddick, who does a perfectly fine job. We've got Gabriel Byrne as the villain, and he talks about fate and choice, but they don't lean into it nearly enough, and he just ends up feeling generic. Norman Reedus is so bad here. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else. I haven't seen The Walking Dead, but his character was unnecessary and his performance was lacking. Catalina Sandino Norino is so bad in this movie. I did not like her at all. And then we get to Keanu Reeves, who was completely unnecessary, and I think his presence created some confusion of the timeline. If this is between John Wick 3 and 4, but he's still a hitman for hire here? I guess it kind of makes sense, but it was a very distracting element. But that said, his performance is good, and I do like the way they handled him. They could have done something with his character, and thankfully they avoided it. So the cast is a bit of a mixed bag, but the star of this movie does her job very well. And look, the script is dog shit. This script is so beyond messy, and I am baffled by certain decisions made. There's this little girl character, and the way they handled her is just confusing. You'd think she would have a bigger role, but she really doesn't. And the inclusion of Keanu Reeves is baffling, and there is one reveal that is so empty, and I couldn't have cared less about it. So I definitely have issues with this movie. But that said, it's an action movie, and holy shit, did they deliver. There is a lot of action here, and the action is terrific. In fact, it's some of my favorite action of the entire franchise, because I've always found the John Wick movies to have very repetitive action scenes that go on for too long, and John Wick is too invincible, and you have none of those issues here, just excellent choreography, and I love how they utilize certain weapons like grenades and skates, and how they utilize certain locations, and just that attention to detail is what really elevates this movie. Each action scene feels distinct. Each action scene stands out. So, that's all I wanted from this movie, and it delivered. I also thought the movie had excellent sound, and the movie doesn't look as good as the John Wick movies, but it's still well shot enough. And I think it's a well-directed movie. But who directed it? Because I know Len Wiseman directed it at first, but then there were a bunch of reshoots by Chad Stahelski. So who am I to give credit to? It's another Dredd situation. Well, Pete Travis officially directed that movie, but the rumors suggest Alex Garland did. So who's to know what to believe? I'll say this. The direction of Len Wiseman combined with the direction of Chad Stahelski greatly benefited this movie. I'm glad that this movie had two different visions that worked so incredibly well together, and it does end up working. I also love how self-contained the second half of this movie is. It takes place in this small town for a large chunk of this movie, and it kind of made it feel like a video game in the best possible way. And kind of the worst way too, because you know when you play a video game and the cutscenes, the dialogue, the story is really bad, and you want to skip the cutscenes and just get to the action? That's this movie. I'm playing Split Fiction right now, and the story is so bad, but the gameplay is so fun, and it kind of reminds me of this movie. But anyways, my thoughts are a bit jumbled, but here's the bottom line. The script is very bad. The action is excellent. There's lots of action, and it completely saves this movie. I can see myself rewatching it quite a bit, so I'm giving Ballerina a 7.5 out of 10. Despite me not being as in love with these movies as other people, it's still a very consistent franchise. But Ballerina, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.